This is the KWC PT92, and it's an excellent option if you want a heavyweight CO2 powered, full auto capable airsoft pistol and you're a fan of Beretta aesthetics. The best part is the price point makes it one of the most affordable options in its class. Like most CO2 pistols, this one shoots above 400 FPS, and while low output valves can be installed, if you specifically plan to play indoor CQB, I'd instead recommend a green gas pistol. For a range toy though, that heavy blowback and loud muzzle report offered by CO2, along with impressive accuracy and full auto capability, makes this a lot of fun for plinking. At first glance, it looks like an M9A1 with its full metal slide-in frame with the iconic Beretta barrel cutout and underbarrel rail. But it's actually based on the Taurus PT92, the stepbrother to the M9, differentiated by a frame-mounted safety and thicker slide serrations, but otherwise more or less identical. In fact, the real PT92 was made using official Beretta tooling once Beretta's contract in Brazil ended in the 1980s. Completely made of metal, this PT92 is heavy in the hand, and with its full-size grip, feels substantial to hold. Grip has that classic Beretta diamond texturing with ridges along the front and back of the lower frame. Personally, I'm a big fan of how the chunkier grip feels, and controls are easy enough to reach, but those that prefer slimmer grips should definitely try to get one in the hands before making a decision. Slide travel is smooth with a really nice sound, and the slide release works great. That front scallop is a perfect shape to push back the slide from the front. Iron sights are standard Beretta style, non-adjustable iron sights with a simple single white dot at the rear that lines up with the black front sight. Now, I do wish the front sight was painted as well, but it's still easy enough to line up with the back white notch. The safety/selector switch can only be moved up into safe with the hammer cocked back. Nice that it's ambidextrous and mirrored on the other side. Action is extremely notchy, which I do like, but it's almost too stiff and it's easy to push it further than semi down towards full auto. Still, I'd rather it be too stiff than not stiff enough, and I'm sure it will loosen up with a bit of break-in. Having the safety on the frame instead of the slide clears up that slide to grab onto, which is a pretty common complaint about the M9 design. Although personally, I find myself often racking the slide from the front anyway. I do really like the sounds this gun makes. It really highlights why sometimes a full metal frame and slide, although heavier, is just a little bit more fun to fondle. Slide release is standard Beretta style, that is to say, sadly not ambidextrous, but really positive control while still being quite low profile. Similar story with the magazine release, great to use with a nice positive action, but for righties only, and is a bit of a reach with a larger grip size of this gun. Magazine has a nice big base plate, and CO2 is loaded from the bottom and tightened down with an included Allen key. Holds 26 rounds, which is a decent amount more than the real PT92 at 17 rounds of 9mm. Magazine insert is nice and smooth and has no trouble dropping free. Looking at the trigger now, it's standard Beretta style with a smooth curved trigger face that I've always thought was really comfortable. In single action, there isn't any take-up in the traditional sense. Tension simply ramps up from the start until the break with 1mm of over travel after the break. Reset is nice and defined, and you can feel it through the trigger, and it's about 2mm from that break. In double action, travel is predictably quite long, but travel is nice and smooth, very similar to other Beretta style triggers and even similar to the real thing. Overall, it's a nice example of this style of trigger, and provided you don't expect a 1911 single action only feel, I really have no complaints. Onto the range now, we'll start by unscrewing the CO2 cap with the included Allen key. Fresh CO2 inserted tip first into the magazine, followed by that cap. I recommend using the long side of the Allen key as the handle to have a good control over torque. Finger tight is about all you need. Careful not to over tighten as you could damage that seal. Loading up the magazine with BBs now, because there is no wider loading slot cut into the track, you are forced to load from the top. It's not too big a deal, but requires a bit of practice to do without dropping some BBs, and of course it's a bit easier to do when not angling it up towards the camera. Racking around it in the chamber now, let's get some trigger time. Blowback is very snappy and this gun is loud. It's one of the heavier kicking airsoft pistols I've felt, and double taps actually require a bit more care than a typical green gas pistol, and I think that's a great way to practice trigger control. Accuracy was very nice right out of the box with no adjustment. Definitely quite impressed with KWCs lately. Their reputation was a little hit or miss in the past, but they've seemed to really tighten up over the years, and I can tell they put effort into this gun. Of course, we gotta show you full auto, easily accessible, pushing the safety all the way down. Like any gas gun, I recommend short bursts to avoid freezing the nozzle, but the cyclic rate is very impressive, and with that strong kick, is definitely a lot of fun on full auto. Still, for me, I'm more interested in precision, and this gun certainly delivers. Even aiming through my camera setup, it's not too hard to nail these smaller targets. This thing is a lot of fun, and I'd probably pick up some extra CO2 as you'll want to shoot this thing a lot. If you're looking for an excellent CO2 pistol at a very nice price point, definitely try to come into the store and check one out for yourself. As always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.